Okay, let me make sure. Alrighty, I changed shirts immediately, like just before I started this, and I did want to make sure. I wanted to make sure I didn't look like a hobo. I didn't know how much of the shirtness it would actually show. Looks like it's okay. Whew. Happy. What day is this? 27th. Um, Felt like I can hear something in the background. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, okay. I think I'm okay. Make sure my focus is good. Okay, cool. Focus is good. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody had a good day at work or a good Wednesday. Or if you're not at work, then lucky you. This is Anthony. This is Open Forum podcast episode. I've lost count. I think I'm on episode 6 now, which is crazy. Originally, when I actually thought about doing this and kind of starting this, I was like, my biggest issue, like with making YouTube videos, just making content in general, is that I never had a default. You know, I always think of it like I always wanted to be. Oh, let me turn this off. I always thought of things like I always wanted to be like the San Antonio Spurs, right? Where, San Antonio Spurs of Tim Duncan era, where like you had to be above like 85% in order to even compete with them. Because even on their lowest day, they're still really, really good. I always wanted to be at that level where even at my lowest, I always had content, but I never had a low line. So now that I'm making like live streams and content, I now have that line, so I have consistent content now. But now that I have consistent content, I have like 30 videos I need to make. So you can't win for losing, man. Every time I try to get a W, I also take an L. So it's like one of those kind of things. But I'm trying to catch up and get better at it, you guys. Hopefully, I'll get better. I actually also started streaming to a different location. I think that it may be better because I was actually streaming to technical support or computer science and technology, but there's like 500 people there, and all 500 people are actually watching somebody else's channel. So I was like, okay, let me try to change it up to like podcast, because this is more of a podcasty thing anyway. You know, if I was to have callers call in and stuff like that. So I figured, let me go ahead and give it a try. So there is one thing I do want to check here. So while this is going here, I was having some issues. I couldn't actually see when someone was posting on YouTube, and I was just like, I was kind of worried that I wouldn't be able to see that, and because of that it was causing a problem. Okay, let me mute that first, sorry. And I was thinking that may actually cause an issue. So it was always worrying me that maybe I wasn't posting properly or people couldn't see it properly. And now it looks like I may still have that problem, because it's showing me like X's every time I try to look at my channel from YouTube. So I do apologize for that. I'll try to get that fixed. I'm not exactly sure what's causing it. And this being a troubleshooting channel, I don't know what's causing it for Restream to actually have issues. I may have to just uninstall, reinstall in order to try to figure out what's going on with it. But essentially, it's showing that I see like Twitch replies, but for some reason I don't see YouTube replies. So what I was actually doing is I was going to my my podcast, my live stream right now, and I was just gonna go there and just look and just kind of sit there. That way, if somebody had questions, I'll be able to see it. So I think I'm just gonna do that. And just call it a day on that one. So I do apologize if I am slow in replying to any chats that come in on YouTube. So let's go ahead and get started, you guys. If you have any questions, be sure to go ahead and put it in the chat, and then of course I'll answer them as soon as I can. You know, I may be in doing another troubleshoot, but then I'll always get back to you, or at least try to. So far so good. I think I've only had like one question, so it hasn't been too bad. Alrighty guys, let's go ahead and get started here. Alrighty, so I just picked up a bunch of random ones. I'm trying to not just do everything just straight tech support, because I can range from like tech support to mobile to PC to Apple to whatever. So we'll see how this works here. So this is the first one here. This is from Admirable Wasabi 953. Mr. Admirable writes, every time I try to call someone, it says no SIM card or SIM card error / call ended. Call ended? When you try to call someone? I can't receive calls either, right? I can use my phone data and send text messages though. Correct. So, what? I don't know for sure if you're actually using your phone data on that one, because it sounds as if you're either your SIM card may be messed up or corrupted, or your SIM card isn't in the slot all the way. And generally when that happens, you're not using your phone data when you're making those text messages, because I don't think there's any way, because I think you may be on Wi-Fi and you're sending text messages thinking that you may be on data, and that happens a lot. My phone is an LG G8. Dope. I used to have an LG G6 until someone stole it. When I found that person from 15 years ago, they have a lot of explaining to do. My phone is the LG G8 Thin Q. I have tried several things. I tried restarting my phone. I took my SIM out and in again, well, which is what I was thinking. I dialed #31#. I tried several other tutorials, still can't receive or make calls. Okay, well, if that's the case and you've tried taking the SIM out, plugging it back in, and restarting your phone multiple times. So basically, I would say shut down your phone, remove the SIM card, push it back in, make sure it's all the way in, and then try to boot your phone. You can also try to blow in the little slot just to make sure there's no dust or debris there, and then put the card back in. But if you try multiple times of doing that, it's almost like Nintendo back in the day when the NES, you had to take the card out, blow in the cartridge, like blow on the SIM card, and then blow in the in the console. So the console being the phone in this case, in order to make sure it works. Now you also want to push it in, and then you want to push it back, and then push it in and push it back, just like you would on the NES system as well. And hopefully that should get it to work. It did when I was 6. I don't know about now, but that's what I would recommend. I would say try to reseat, unseat, reseat the SIM card, turn it back on. But if you still have issues, you may have to call the carrier. At that particular point in time, they may have to send you out a new SIM card, because if it's not picking it up, and it's an LG G8, it may be a relatively new phone, or maybe a used phone. It's hard to say, but really at that point in time, if you've tried multiple times, then you're really only looking at two different things. Either it is the phone being unable to read the SIM card, or it's the SIM card itself. Because you have mentioned that well, I can't really say if whether or not is this a new SIM card or something along those lines, or if it's a new phone or something along those lines, but that's what I would do. If those don't work, then all you can really do is call the carrier, because now you're just looking at a phone or a SIM issue, unfortunately. So that's how you would handle that particular situation. Alrighty, Mr. Wasabi, hope you have a good one with that. It looks like people had already asked some questions, so hopefully that shouldn't be too difficult. Alrighty, we got another one here. Let me make sure. Oh, this guy's long. Okay, let me get ready. Alright, let's do this. Alright, this is posted by Temptus. Temptus writes, Microsoft Teams crashing USB. Okay, in my office setup, I am using a docking station with the following devices attached: keyboard via docking station, mouse, dongle and laptop, webcam, headset, phone mainly for charging. Okay. So I was just making sure that he doesn't, when he said phone, he didn't have a voice over IP phone. So I was thinking that maybe he had a phone that's at his desk that is that allows him to get onto his internet for work. That's what I was originally thinking, but he's actually just saying he's just charging his phone. When I open Teams, when I join a call on Teams, the computer decides to reset all USB devices. To reset all USB devices, and then randomly fails to reconnect any or all of them. Oh, okay. I know what that is. This effect does not occur when I unplug the headset. Yay for using the built-in speaker mic in the shared office. Okay, this effect does not occur when I do not use the docking station. Correct. And let me scroll down a little bit more here. Yeah. This effect still occurs when I unplug the non-essential devices, phone and webcam. right? What I have tried so far is resetting the Teams cache, starting Teams in compatibility mode, disabling selective suspend via power plant and via registry, replace the docking station. He's tried to replace the docking station and he still has the issue. I'm at a loss as nothing seems to work. Not able to use the docking station and the 2 additional HD displays. It's not really an option. Okay, he has a Lenovo T15 with latest firmware, Windows 10 21H2 with latest updates. I did run a Lenovo Vantage. The firmware and driver are, like I said, up to date. Well, I'm wondering about this docking station. I don't know what kind of docking station you have, but it's originally whenever I was reading this, the first thing I was actually thinking of was that you were oversaturating the USB port. I was thinking that, okay, you maybe have USB 3 port and you were oversaturating with the amount of devices that you were plugging in and drawing from the PC. Therefore, you were kind of hitting your maximum output wattage that you're allotted for that particular USB port. But typically when it says that, it will let you know. It'll be like, hey, you know, max power detected on the USB ports, and then it'll start messing up on you. But you don't mention that you have this problem anywhere else. That would have given you an error at any time, you know, but it's kind of an interesting one here. So and that makes sense why you're kind of keeping it at Teams, because that's the only time, it sounds like that's the only time that you have the issue. But if you're having the issue on Microsoft Teams and you said you actually reset the cache and then you started to start it in compatibility mode and you turned off selective suspend via the power and via registry. So selective suspend on the USB port that is connected to the docking station. Also, I'll be curious to see, okay, so the effect does not occur when I do not use the docking station. That's a double negative. Hold on. The effect does not occur. The effect does not occur when I do not use the docking station. Okay, yeah, it's a double negative, but it doesn't mean positive. It basically means that he doesn't have the issue when he doesn't have the docking station hooked up. So if he doesn't have the issue when he doesn't have the docking station hooked up, but when he has the docking station hooked up, that's when he has the issue, then it sounds more like the port or the docking station itself. There may be some compatibility issues. I'm kind of curious because he mentioned that he replaced the docking station, but he never mentioned that he replaced it with a different docking station. It sounds like your docking station is just kind of having problems here with Teams. But what are the issues that it actually gives you? Like this effect, let me see. What effects does it give you? When I open Teams, when I join call on Teams, the computer decides to reset all USB devices and then randomly fails to connect to any or all of them. Keyboard, okay, what's hooked up? It's okay, so it's keyboard, mouse, webcam, headset, and phone. His regular phone, mainly for charging, but he talks through his speaker mic shared office. Okay. So the headset, the webcam, the mouse, and the keyboard go in and out whenever he tries to join on Teams. Okay, well, it basically means that the team, so when Teams actually starts up and it's trying to connect you to a particular conference, it's trying to reach out to those devices, particularly the webcam as well as the headset, in order to see if it can actually establish connection. But it seems like it may not be able to because of whatever utilization you have with that particular docking station. I would just try a simpler docking station. You know, if you have a docking station that's relatively expensive, I would try to switch it out with a different one. Also, if your docking station is a Thunderbolt docking station and you're plugging into the Thunderbolt port, then it could be an issue with the drivers on the PC for that particular Thunderbolt port. I've run into a situation with that all the time, especially when it comes to work laptops. With work laptops and Windows 10, 20, whatever, H2 or whatever, whenever I had those issues, it was always with the driver that is currently utilized for the Thunderbolt port. Because when I got my work laptop, it was during the time when Thunderbolt kind of just started becoming a thing, so the drivers weren't as up to date as they are now. You know that everybody and all PCs kind of have like a Thunderbolt or some type of USB-C. But back then, it was just like the most basic drivers that it can possibly have. And it may be that you're having a driver issue whenever you're trying to connect up with Teams. I've seen this before with changes and updates to video conferencing software. So whenever you make a change or an update, or the video conferencing software has an update, it can make it so that previous devices that used to work have stopped working. And it could be along those lines that it's just not compatible with your docking station. Here's what I would do, because if your docking station is Thunderbolt, that means you have USB ports available. If your docking station is USB, then you may not have ports available. However, webcam and headset is all you really need. So I would kind of do like webcam, headset, and see. It seems like that probably would work in your particular situation, or just try a new docking station, but all signs kind of point to the docking station. It's also possible that it can point to the USB cable, but it just seems like a compatibility issue between Microsoft Teams and the docking station. So sorry about that, but that's kind of what it seems like here. And that's kind of how you would troubleshoot it as well. You would just basically try a different docking station. It doesn't matter what it is. It can just be a USB port that gives you 4 USB ports as well, or something like that, or 2 or 3, and then plug in all your devices and see if that fixes the issue. So it may not just be a docking station per se, it just may be that it just has an issue with that particular docking station. You can maybe swap it out with a different one, and if that fixes the issue, then you know where it is. But that's the way it sounds like here. You know, you could also try with this particular situation, instead of using the application Microsoft Teams, use the website Microsoft Teams. In other words, go to the URL for Microsoft Teams and then join from the website. That may give you a better performance than using the application. So you may want to try that as well. So if you go to the website and then try to use it, maybe that will work. So that's something that you can also try. So we got several different options there, but that's how I would handle this particular situation. Alrighty, Tempest, that was a very good one. So yeah, he also has a couple people who's asked questions about it, but yeah, I hope that worked. I didn't run Lenovo Vantage. Okay, cool. So I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything, but yeah, that's how I would handle that particular situation. Alrighty, here on to the next one. Let me scroll up a little bit so everybody can see. There we go. Alrighty, so this one here is from Know Yours 3LPH. 3LPH? I was thinking whenever I saw that, I don't know what, I don't think I was thinking of phosphorus. I was thinking of pH levels, like in water or something like that. I was thinking that that's what that, oh, no, I'm silly. It says Know Yourself. Wow, I'm old. Let's just call it what it is. I'm old. This is from Know Yourself. Downloaded a malware update and now my computer pulses on and off. Pulses? Okay. Hello all. Lenovo Yoga running Windows. I like the Yoga. The Yoga was always a good laptop for me. I always ended up going with like a Surface over a Yoga, but I always liked the Yoga. Yoga's great. I got one of those sketchy update pushes on my laptop and wasn't really paying attention. I accepted the update, which said it would be dangerous for the computer to turn off while the update was in progress. That's normal. About halfway through, my screen went crazy and started quickly flashing all these Chinese characters. What? Pretty clearly a malicious update. I panicked and shut the computer down. Now when I try to boot, the light turns on and I hear a fan kick on and get up to speed, then it powers down. 2 seconds later, it repeats itself, powering up then powering down. This continues indefinitely while plugged into the wall. I've gone as far as disconnecting battery, discharging caps, and rebooting, which obviously didn't work. What's the best play here? Well, it doesn't sound like it's actually it sounds like whatever you install may have actually affected your drivers for your graphics card. If you have a graphics card, if not, then it may have affected, well, it's a Yoga, so there's no graphics card. Then it may have affected the internal graphics and it's not showing you a picture because of that, because it's spinning up and then it's shutting down. Typically, if it spins up and then it powers down, then what it's actually doing, if you saw the screen, is that it's more than likely trying to boot Windows and it's not finding a path and then it shuts down. So it could be that your drive has been corrupted. Is what this kind of sounds like just from what you're telling me here. For it to show Chinese characters or something along those lines means that you may have downloaded something malicious, maybe like a crypto wall, crypto lock, or something like that, that has made it so that you can't access the drive. So the best way I would handle this particular situation is, one, disconnect from the internet. So let's assume that it's the worst, and let's assume that it's something malicious like malware and it's a crypto wallet or a crypto locker. If it's that, then you do not want to have this device plugged into anything. I don't care what it is. You do not want it to be plugged into anything, because if so, crypto wallet and crypto locker can jump across your network if they're all a part of the same subnet, because it'll just ARP. So be very, very careful with that. I definitely would try to disconnect from the internet if you can. And while it's booting, it shouldn't connect to the Wi-Fi. But if you have it wired, which I thought you mentioned, but if you do have it wired, then go ahead and remove it from the wired connection and just hook it up and just leave it the way it is and try to boot it up that way. But on to what you would do. What I would do in this particular situation is I would try to get an external monitor. So get an external monitor and plug into the HDMI port and see if you get a picture that way. And it may be that it's maybe not displaying a picture on the actual monitor, but it's maybe displays one on HDMI. If that does not work, then you can try to install a Windows, like a Windows boot drive, or Windows set up a Windows boot drive and try to reinstall Windows. But it's not to I'm not telling you to do this so that you reinstall Windows. I'm telling you to do this so that you get a picture and then go from there. So in this particular situation, just plug in a USB port. Typically laptops, especially Lenovo's and stuff like that, once you plug in the USB port, that guy will take precedence. So if it's a Windows installation, on that USB stick, it should take you to the Windows login, and it should show you a picture. So I would still have the other monitor hooked up. One of them should show you a picture, and then plug in the USB dongle that has the Windows image, and then see if that will actually show you a picture. You don't have to re-image right then and there. You can try to repair if you do get a picture. That's how I would handle this particular situation. I would try to figure out a way to re-image or figure out a way to get a picture. That's what you need to do first before you go any further, because it may not necessarily be that, you may have a hardware issue. You may still have a software issue, and it's just presenting itself as if it was a hardware issue, kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing. So that's what I would go for here. I would try to go for the software side and trying to hook up a second monitor and try to boot this guy with a Windows image. Alrighty, it looks like a lot of people had a lot of questions or thoughts about this one here, which is definitely understandable. It's a very interesting issue, because it kind of presents itself very hardware-like, but it's kind of hard to say that the hardware just die like that, after you installed an update, and immediately it stops. So it sounds more like you have a software issue. However, if it is malware, be sure you disconnect the wired connection from the laptop. Alrighty, know yourself. Hopefully that helps you. Man, these are good. These are way better than I got last time. Alrighty. Okay. So this is posted by BestB974. BestB writes, cassette player. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard my phone. Cassette player in car doesn't work. Okay. Obviously it's not working because it's a cassette player. No. You might want to swap that out for an 8-track. But for those of you that are younger, which is basically most people, because this is kind of like a 90s thing, but a cassette player is something that you would actually, take a tape. We used to have these things called tapes that you can spool, so basically it was like a tape, but it was like a little rectangular thing that you would plug into a cassette player and it would play music. Nowadays it's called Spotify, but back then it was just a tape that you can reverse and it'll play a different track whenever you reverse the tape. So that's what a cassette player is, kids. There you go. Hello, I don't have much in common with cassettes. But I've recently purchased a 2004 Volkswagen Passat, which has a cassette player. Yep. And after I drove the car home, I decided to see if it works or not. Seller said he was using it, but it should work. I inserted a cassette, the 2 wins buttons popped out and nothing. Okay, the 2 win buttons popped out and nothing. If I press the win button, the wind wind. I'm guessing he means the rewind button. If I press the rewind button, the radio screen shows that it's rewinding, but I don't hear any sound. Okay. I also can't get the cassette out of it. Okay, I've had that issue. I'm dating myself, but I've had that issue. In the manual, it says that it gets ejected when both rewind buttons are pressed at once. It lifts the cassette to some point, but it doesn't go any further. Now, here I am trying to get a cassette out with no success. Don't know if any of you here would be able to help, but any help would be appreciated. No, not with cassette tapes. No, like cassette players in cars. The because I used to have it's a 6-track cassette tape thing where you can plug, where it can have 6 tapes and will like circulate through them depending on which one you had. And yeah, no, once it's like that and you try to eject it and it won't come out, that's metal. So so whenever you put it in, think of it like metal that's holding that guy down. If you press the 2 buttons, the rewind and the fast forward, in order to eject it and it's not coming out, that's it. Like you can try to pry it out, but even if you try to pry it out while you're holding the eject button, you can try to pry it out. However, if you do this, there's a high probability that you're just going to break it anyway. That's why I said, it's really hard to try to troubleshoot that kind of thing, because 9 times out of 10, because of the way that it's holding onto that cassette tape, whenever you press the rewind and fast forward to eject it, it's just gonna destroy it. So it's either going to destroy the tape because the tape is probably already out and spooled, or it's going to destroy the cassette player because you're trying to pry it out with like a flathead or something. So you can try it because you don't really have anything to lose at this particular point. Basically, you hold the 2 buttons that create the eject with the rewind and fast forward in this particular case, and try to pry it up with a flathead and see if that works. But if it doesn't, then you possibly may have damaged your cassette player. So it's kind of a hard one, bro. I would also try to press the eject button while the power's off on the car, and maybe try it when the car is off. Also try when the car is on, see if that may help. But it's kind of hard to say, man. When it comes to cassette players, they're very, very stingy on giving back tapes, especially when it's held in on a cassette player on a car. So hope that helps, man. But yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Now you see why everybody went to Spotify, because the cassette players they're not where it was at. It was always a pain. Like, I used to always have problems with my cassette player. It hated me so much, so much. Alrighty, here, let's go ahead and go to the next one. I think okay. I was thinking that my cassettes, somebody broke in and stole my radio, but that was actually my CD player. So it wasn't a cassette player. I've had one, but that one didn't get stolen. I had a CD player later on that got stolen. So that's what I was trying to think of. This was pretty short. Okay, cool. So this is from Yak Agitated 7343. When I turn on Task Manager, it shows the system interrupts is taking 100% of CPU, and then system interrupts just vanishes. Why does it do this? My computer doesn't seem to get slower from this, just something it happens when I turn on taskbar. It says 100% CPU, and system interrupts seems to be the task using all the CPU, but this only happens in like half a second of the taskbar turning on. Any clues as to why it does this? Typically, whenever I've seen this and it's showing like 100% for system interrupts or something along those lines, is usually because you don't have a ton of RAM. And so whenever it's trying to bring up that particular application, it may be overutilizing the RAM until it shows up, and then it kind of releases it back to the pool. So that's usually the only time that I've seen that issue. Like, either you have a RAM issue or a paging issue, and it's not really an issue, just you may not have enough for the things and application that you're trying to run. You don't mention that this happens consistently. You just say, that it just system interrupts and just vanishes. But if it's consistent and it never changes, then it's kind of hard to say. It may just be one of those things where you just don't have enough utilization. And by utilization, what I mean is your CPU or your memory may not be strong enough to handle the speed at which it's trying to open the application. So it may overutilize and oversaturate the CPU. Like, for example, it may be a dual core, and it may be a dual core, and it already has applications running, and you may you open it, make it spike to 100%, and then it kind of goes back to normal. So typically, this may happen with kind of older CPUs or CPUs that are running dual core or maybe quad core, but very, very slow, so that it doesn't have the speed to actually open an application in, you know, a reasonable amount of time. So it basically tries to offset that to RAM, and that can kind of slow things down if it's unable to release that memory. So it may show 100%, or you're even close to it. You never said, you know, when it's not showing 100%, where is your idle at? You know, if your idle's at 66% and then you open it up and it jumps to 100, then it goes back down to 66%, then that sounds pretty normal. Well, this sounds pretty normal because your memory utilization is at 66%. You see what I'm saying? If your memory utilization is at 66%, then more than likely you have a low amount of RAM. So in that case, that would sound relatively normal if you open an application and it takes you to 100%. So that's what I would think on that guy. It sounds like just like a CPU or memory, but if it's not causing a problem, then I wouldn't worry about it too much. But that's what I would do. Alrighty, Mr. Agitated. Hope that helps. And that was still from tech support. I'm not sure how many I'm gonna do from tech support, but I think I have some more, and then I'll switch it up. Okay, cool. So this one's networking. Okay, so this one is from Full Metal Alchemist 9. I don't know what the 9 is for, but I do respect a guy with Full Metal Alchemist. That is my show, particularly Brotherhood, not necessarily the regular Full Metal Alchemist. I thought I liked the Full Metal Alchemist until I saw Brotherhood, and then I was like, no, I have been lied to. It is a shame. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is so much better. Alrighty, just making sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, cool. So this one says PCE AX58BT, which is generally Bluetooth, stops working when PC goes to sleep or powers off. Okay, I have a PCE AX58BT Wi-Fi card, which sounds like it's Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and whenever the PC goes to sleep, it turns or whenever the PC goes to sleep or I turn it off, it stops working, showing disconnected in the device manager after I power it back up. I have turned power supply off, discharged the power, and reset the adapter to get it to work again. Is there a way around this? Yes. I'm running Windows 10 currently, but when I run Linux, I do not have this issue. Correct. So Windows has a power saver setting, and you can change this by going into the control panel and then going to power, or in this case here, the better option would be to go to control panel device manager. So basically control panel system device manager, and then go to your networking, your wireless networking, and then click on the card, right click, go to properties, and then turn off the power saving settings. There's going to be a tab that literally is for power saving, so you want to turn that off and turn off selective suspension for USB for your card there, and that should take care of it. So basically it has a selective suspension on, and it's basically powering off that card whenever the computer goes to sleep. You have to turn that feature off, and the best way to do that is from device manager. Now of course you can do it by going to the power option in control panel, but if you were to go there, then you will just turn that off on everything, including devices you may actually want to go to sleep, like your keyboard or something like that. So that's what I would recommend. You would just go to device manager, go to that device under networking, right click, properties, power saving, and then turn off selective suspension. Alrighty, Mr. Alchemist. Let's go to the next one. Alright, just want to make sure you can see all that. Okay, cool. Okay, so this is from Computer Idiots. And they write, are random restarts a sign? I'm sorry, I was just making sure nobody is asking me questions. Are random restarts a sign that your phone is about to die? Maybe. My phone has these, what I think are partial restarts at random times. It usually happens when I'm not looking, or when I found out that it did when I start to use it and it says phone is starting with a loading bar. I then have to wait for some widgets in the background to load, like my weather app, restart VPN, etc. When I do catch it doing these restarts, it's a much shorter duration than when I manually do it myself. So that's what I call a partial restart. Okay. I've had this phone since the start of 2019, and it has gone through a one-time very prolonged boot loop and a battery replacement. This boot loop happened last year, and I thought it was over for the phone until it boot looped itself back to life. I find it weird how it's still chugging along. Everything still seems to function well with lagging hangs here and there. Are these restarts signs that my phone is ready to go, readying itself to go? Xiaomi Mi A2 is the model. Well, here's the thing. Typically, okay, boot loops, just in general, so it doesn't matter if we're talking routers, firewalls, phones, whatever. Typically, boot loops usually start as software issues. Now, of course, there can be some boot loops that happen because it doesn't detect a hardware component. But in your particular situation, it sounds more software based. It sounds like your boot loop or just the device restarting itself may be because of a software issue. I would make sure that you are on the most up-to-date drivers for your phone, as well as just whatever software version, whatever version of Android that you're running. I would go ahead and upgrade to the latest to see if that helps. I would also check to see if the phone is hot. That's also a possibility. It may be your phone is restarting because it is absolutely hot. So if you have it in a case that covers the entire phone, I would try to remove it from the case and let it get some air and see if that actually resolves your issue as well. Typically, I've noticed this issue with the iPhones more than most devices, but it's a possibility that can happen with any phone. If the battery gets too hot, it can also restart the phone and restart right back up or something along those lines, or just power the phone off. So, but you always mention that it kind of restarts itself, which makes me think that you may be having a software issue. If you are having a hardware issue, then it usually means that that reboot or boot loop is permanent. For the fact that it's fixing yourself makes me think software automatically. So because it's software, you're going to try to check, you should try to check for software things, updates, make sure drivers are up to date, make sure your version of your operating system is up to date, as well as check battery just in case. So that's how I would handle that issue. I would call this guy software. Now, the only way I would call this hardware is if it booted and then, you know, it started the boot loop and it did not recover. Ever. Period. Then you can say it's a hardware issue, because hardware issues are kind of like done. For it to actually fix itself and it being a hardware issue is pretty rare. You may have it happen every once in a great while, but that's usually because of a code boot, not because of a warm reboot, which is what he's talking about. He's talking about a partial restart, like a warm reboot. Typically, if you fix a hardware issue from a boot loop, it's because you code booted it. So that's what I would say for this one here. So I hope that helped, Mr. Computer. I'm not about to call a grown man idiot, so I don't care if that's your username or not. I'm not about to call you idiot, bro. You asked a very, very good question. Alrighty, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next one here. Checking time, making sure everything is cool. Yeah, everything looks cool here. I do not see any questions, so we're just gonna continue on. Alrighty, so this one here, make sure everybody can see. Okay, cool. So this one here is from late 90s Usenet poster. I don't even know what that is, but sure. Was that PCE AC58BT? Hold on, didn't we already have this? Yeah. Will you look at that? So it looks like we may have, maybe doing so many of these, we may actually have, yeah, 2 customers with the exact same type of device. Okay, well this guy here, I'm doing so many of these, I'm starting to create a database of users that are having issues so I can actually search the database now. I'm coming on up in the world. So this one guy here was talking about sleep and power settings. That guy was pretty straightforward. What's this guy's? Okay, so we'll look at this one here. So we know that that the card works because the other guy had the card working. So it looks like they have the exact same model. So, you know, we'll see. Okay, so it says Wi-Fi extremely slow on desktop only, not phone or other devices. Okay. Wi-Fi extremely slow on desktop only, not phone or other devices. Okay. And then he said, you know, he has the same wireless adapter as our previous customer. Hi, I built this computer in 2019, so it's a built computer. I have an Asus PCE AC58 Bluetooth AC wireless adapter, which appears to be using the driver Intel Wireless AC 9260 160 megahertz. And I'm getting really terrible internet speeds, causing Citrix to lag like hell, sometimes when working from home. I also use Comcast, so there's some fun trying to determine whether or not it's their fault or mine. Lately, I've been getting really terrible internet speeds, at times 30 megabits per second or less. While my phone in the same room is getting 230 megabits per second on the same connection. Yeah, that's okay. I don't really know what I'm doing fiddling with network stuff, but I need to fix this problem because it affects my ability to work at home. My partner also works from home and is not particularly amused when I try to unplug the modem during her working hours. Okay. All right, scroll up there. I don't think it's an issue with the signal itself because I have full bars and there's only about about 6 feet, a little bit of drywall, and a door between the PC and the modem. Unfortunately, I can't really use Ethernet. It would cause a terrible trip hazard to run it across the hallway. I have the only desktop in the house with big antennas, yet it's somehow getting worse internet than any other device in the same room. Any suggestions would be super helpful. Money is tightening, so I am hoping to avoid getting a new Wi-Fi card. Reinstalling Windows would be annoying as hell, so I prefer not to take that route either, unless absolutely necessary. I currently don't have access to another Windows PC. The modem is a Netgear cable modem DOCSIS 3.0. That's actually a really good modem. Compatible with all major cable providers, of course. And then he has a Nighthawk X6. I have this exact same wireless router. So here's the thing. So his wireless router is relatively close. I don't want people to read something like this and then be like, okay, yeah, you can get a power over Ethernet adapter, which can help with your situation, because he was saying that he can't go wired. But here's the thing. A powered over Ethernet adapter costs more than a wireless networking adapter. If you can't afford a wireless networking adapter, then you don't want to say to him to go for PoE. Even though PoE would be a great solution for this, a wireless adapter is cheaper. Okay, and he's already saying that it's kind of tight, so I wouldn't recommend that either in this particular situation. So if he's having an issue with this Wi-Fi card and he can't go wired and it's on his desktop, and he's saying that he's only getting very slow internet speeds here, I would try to uninstall and reinstall the drivers. I would also try to put the card in a different slot and see if that helps as well. So, maybe unseat it, put it in a different slot, and then try to power it on with that, as well as uninstall and reinstall the drivers for that particular networking card. We already know from our previous customer that that card does work, or does have tendencies of working. So that's what I would try to do here. I would also turn off the same situation as with the previous customer, to turn off selective suspension by going to the control panel device manager, clicking on the device, and then going to power savings and turning off selective suspension to see if that helps as well. It could be that it may be going to sleep and it's not giving you the same utilization because it always keeps trying to put itself to sleep. So I would definitely do that as well, and see if that helps too. That's kind of it with this guy. To say to reinstall Windows, I don't think it would be that. So you said you only have one computer in the entire place. So it's kind of hard to say that, you should try that. However, I do have a question though. You said you couldn't go wired, but I would go wired just to test if everything is working. So same computer, but basically take your desktop or take your Netgear, your router, and get it closer to your desktop and just run a cable just to see if your internet speed is fixed. If your internet speed is fixed, then yeah, you're technically looking at that wireless adapter, and that's kind of the only real things that you can do is uninstall, reinstall the drivers, and try to reseat it into a different slot, or reseat it into the same slot, to see if that resolves the issue. That's pretty much the only way you can kind of handle that guy without trying to replace it. I would try, I know you said the money is tight, but basically the cheapest way to handle this guy is with a USB dongle. You can probably get a Wi-Fi dongle for under $20. Maybe $15 or something along those lines, and that may be your best option. And I'm not even saying keep it. I'm not saying that. I'm actually saying just getting a Wi-Fi dongle to test. And if you test it with the Wi-Fi dongle and everything is working fine, then it's not the wireless, and it's not the computer, and it's not Windows. It can only be the wireless card at that point. So that's what I would do. I know money is tight, but that's what I would do. I would just buy the wireless dongle and then hook it up, see if it works. If it does work, then where the problem is. If it doesn't work, then take it back. That's what I would do. Or just take it back in general. But it's only to prove a point. And proving the point is, let's eliminate everything else. Because as soon as you plug in another wireless dongle, if it works, then you automatically know you're dealing with an issue with your wireless card, because everything else is the same. The only thing that's different is that you're using your wireless dongle you just purchased instead of the wireless card. So that's how you would handle that issue. That would probably be the best way to handle that issue. And you mentioned that you had an X470. So me giving you the option of going with a USB dongle may be the best option, for testing this permanently. Then you may want to say PoE, but I wouldn't say that in this particular situation. I would just say use a USB Wi-Fi dongle for like $15. Don't get it from Best Buy though, because those are usually a little bit cheap, a little bit more expensive. I'd say just buy it on Amazon, where if there is an Amazon where you are. I'm guessing there is, because you have an X470. Alrighty, that is an excellent question, man. These questions, man, are just are on point today. Let me clear all the sweat off. Let me get myself ready. Alrighty, make sure I check chat here, make sure nobody's asking me no questions. Does not look to be the case, so we will continue on. Let me check the clock here. Okay, cool. So we got enough time for these last three. Alrighty, so this is from DC Zenny, and DC Zenny writes, Windows 10 on new laptop, no Wi-Fi option. Okay. As soon as I said okay, I just thought about what was happening. Hey guys, so I bought a Lenovo ThinkPad E15 G4 and it arrived today. I installed Windows 10. This is exactly what I was thinking about and everything, but I am not able to connect to my Wi-Fi router. When I click the little symbol where it shows whether you're connected to the internet or not, I don't see its name. It only shows flight mode. Nothing else. When I open the device in Device Manager, it does not show the Wi-Fi adapter, even though it's one built in. The laptop is brand new and it's not my first time installing Windows 10. I tried everything I could, but nothing works. Any ideas of what I can try? I appreciate the help. Any further information would be appreciated. Thanks in advance. Rollback. Alrighty, going to the next question. Yeah. No, I would just straight up roll back. That's what I would do. It sounds like, and that was the first thing I was thinking of. As soon as you told me the issue, as soon as you said Windows 10 on new laptop, no Wi-Fi option, the very first thing I thought of is that you're going to need to roll back. Because it sounds like you may have upgraded past the most up-to-date driver that's compatible with that particular wireless card. So as soon as you went to Windows 10, it went to a version that wasn't compatible with that particular wireless card, therefore it's not working. Now, if you want to keep Windows 10, then what you would need to do is figure out what kind of wireless card it's using, go to Lenovo's site for the ThinkPad E15 G4 and download the most up-to-date wireless, because they may have a Windows 10 version and you're just not aware of it. So I would try to go to the site and download the most up-to-date Windows version. If that is not there and you already have the most up-to-date Windows version, then you can also try to update the BIOS to the most up-to-date version, which may also in turn update the wireless card. That's how you would handle that situation. So you would try to go and try to update it by downloading it from the website for the wireless adapter, or try to do the BIOS update. Outside of that, rollback. Those would be your options, and that would be the order you would go in as well for this particular issue. Alrighty, DC Zenny, that was actually a quick one. That was the first quick issue we've had all day. Alrighty, I'm not sure what this is. Oh, I know what this is. I was just I was trying to go to a different subreddit, so I can get some different options instead of just straight up tech support. We'll just actually click on this one because it was just random and it's there, so let's go ahead and go with it. So FPS Locked at 60. Hello everyone, I have a problem that appeared today. I'm talking about the performance of the computer and more about the FPS blocking in the number 60. I would like to point out that the vertical VSync is disabled in the graphics settings and in the games as well. The drivers are up to date. I have scanned the computer with antivirus, but nothing gave. I do not know what to do anymore, so I turn to you for help. I can also add the computer has started to work more slowly. Okay, well, FPS Locked at 60 generally means your monitor's refresh rate is 60. Well, okay, so sometimes they can go a little bit higher than that, but it depends on what game. Some games may just straight up lock you at 60, especially if we're talking about like console games. You didn't mention what kind of game you were actually playing here, so if some games will straight up lock you at 60. Case in point, Genshin Impact. that is a game that will lock you at 60. So you know, it may be one of those kind of situations where the game may be locking you at 60, or your refresh rate on your monitor. It's kind of hard to say, but generally, even with a refresh rate of your monitor being set at 60, games typically will go over that refresh rate. It'll just only show 60 frames per second. But, you know, it may also max out. It really just kind of depends on the game. But that's the first thing I was thinking of here, and that's how I would handle this particular situation. If it's showing that it's locked at 60, you know, I would check the monitor, make sure, because, I mean, it doesn't really matter, because if the monitor is only 60 hertz and you're locked at 60, then that's pretty much all you can do with that anyway. Now, if you have a 144 hertz monitor, let's say this person has a 144 hertz monitor and is locked at 60, then your monitor may not have the overdrive turned on, or you may not have the feature turned on. So you may have to go into the settings of the monitor to make sure it's set for 144 hertz. It may be set at 60, you know, because typically, if it was like a store model, they don't actually have it set at the highest refresh rate because they don't want to, you know, burn out the processor. So they'll keep it at like 60. So you may have to go into the monitor itself and change it to 120 or 144 for the monitor itself, as well as from the graphics settings. It may have to change the refresh rate there too. So basically, if it's NVIDIA, right click and click on the NVIDIA control panel, and then you can change it there, because I think it does have like a monitor refresh rate kind of thing. You can change it there, or you can change it directly from Windows by right clicking and then going, well, it used to be right clicking and going to the desktop properties, and then you can change it for the monitor. But it's changed depending on what version that you're running on Windows. But essentially, that's how you would handle that particular situation. So FPS locked at 60. Check the refresh rate on the monitor, because if the monitor says 60, then you don't even have to continue. There's nothing you can do. Even if you try to make it go higher, it's still only going to show you 60. So there's no point in you trying to fight a losing battle. It's not going to do you any good. But if it is over 60, then I would check the monitor as well as check the graphics or the Windows monitor settings, and try to make sure that the refresh rate has been changed to whatever it needs to be changed to. Alrighty, G Falcor, there you go. Checking my drop rate, everything looks fine here. Alrighty, I think this is going to be the last one for today, you guys. Make sure nobody has asked me any questions. This does not look to be the case. And make sure, just checking the clock here, make sure nobody has been asking questions. If you have been asking questions and I'm not seeing them, I do apologize. I don't see questions here. It may be that my chat box is out of date, but if there are questions, I'll be sure to get to them on the next video. I think there may be an issue with my chat box. I think I'm just going to uninstall it whenever I get done with this stream here. So I do apologize if you are asking questions and I haven't seen it. For some reason on my screen, it's just not updating. Well, just on the live stream itself, it's not updating. So you guys see the same thing I see. But it's starting to worry me because I'm looking at these timestamps, and these timestamps look old. So I think that it may just be out of date here. So let me, I don't see anything on YouTube, but let me check Twitch real quick here, and just before we do the last one. Your channel. No, it does not look like we've had anybody ask questions. Okay, cool. Alrighty, I just wanted to have any kind of feedback. Alrighty, here, let's go ahead and get to the last one, you guys, and let's finish this out. Alrighty, so this is from KJF1. New graphics card works amazing. Congratulations. New graphics card works amazing, but now won't use any DisplayPort channels. Okay. He said port channel, and I was thinking that he was talking about Ethernet port channel, and then he said DisplayPort, but I think he's actually talking about DisplayPort channels, and it's in DisplayPort 1 and DisplayPort 2. I've had such an issue over the last couple weeks with my PC, and now this. Anyways, I bought a new NVIDIA 3070, awesome card, because my other GPU pooped the bed. I know that feeling. Pour one out from my 1080 Ti Mini. And just recently installed 2 more sticks of RAM into my PC. It works amazing. 2 days ago, I was playing and shut down for the night. Everything was fine. Now today, I turn on my PC and my first monitor won't use the DisplayPort cable. It'll work with HDMI, but not with the DisplayPort. Please help. I bought a new cable. I unplugged and checked everything. My second monitor works perfectly fine, and I wouldn't have an issue, but I only have one HDMI slot on the graphics card, so now I only have one display. Wait, both of them? Now today I turn on my PC on and my first monitor won't use the display cable. It'll work with HDMI. I bought a new cable and checked everything. My second monitor works perfectly fine, and I wouldn't have an issue, but I only have one HDMI slot on the graphics card, so now I only have one display. Any help will be appreciated. Okay, so what he's really saying is that neither, okay, you're gonna have to prove this to me. So this is kind of one of these situations where somebody's gonna have to prove it to me. So like they were saying, oh hey, I'm having an issue with this particular product, and I know that that product is not currently having an issue. They're gonna have to prove it to me. In this kind of situation, he would have to prove it to me. In other words, I understand what you're saying, but because of the way you're wording it, I'm gonna want you to prove it to me. In other words, try both monitors in both ports. So try it in one port, try it in the other port. Well, I guess it's 3070, so he actually has 3 display ports and 1 HDMI port, or 2 display ports, 1 HDMI port, and 1 USB-C. So, but more than likely, this is going to be 3 display ports. So I would try both of the monitors in multiple display ports and see if that works. If you're still having an issue, then if you're still having an issue, then what I would do is I would try to upgrade to the latest software or the latest driver for NVIDIA. If that doesn't work, then I would try to downgrade to an older version. I would check my settings for NVIDIA and see the last time that it got an update. It could be that when you started having problems, that's when it got updated. So it could be a possibility that you may have to downgrade to an earlier version to get this to work. So both times I'm actually pointing to the actual NVIDIA graphics card at this particular moment in time, and not necessarily just the graphics card itself, but just the software for NVIDIA. I've had it happen where my display ports will kind of go in and out or flicker after NVIDIA silently upgraded to a newer version, or it just upgraded and I just did it and then it started working or started messing up. If that were to happen, then you may have to downgrade back to your previous version of NVIDIA. So that would be the first thing I would check. The second thing I would check is I would try to power off my computer. See the fact that you said you just got a 3070, that means that you actually put it in so that you know how to actually set it up. I would check to make sure that your 2 8-pins, or the, if it's a 3070 Founders Edition, the 14-pin or 12-pin or whatever it is nowadays on the Founders, I would make sure that that's plugged all the way in. Make sure that you don't have any of the 8 pins or the 12 pin, I think it's a 12 pin, hooked up. And if loose, you make sure that you don't have any of them loose. Also, I would try to plug it into a different PCIe slot. If you plug it into the first one and you're having this issue, and you plug it into a different PCIe slot and you're not having that issue, then you have a problem with your motherboard. And that's how you would handle that particular situation. You would plug it into a different PCIe slot. Just because you said you had a 3070, so more than likely you have more than one PCIe slot. So I would plug it into a different PCIe slot and see if that fixes the issue as well. So we have a few options there. Driver, upgrade or downgrade depending on the situation, as well as checking the PCIe power on the graphics card, as well as swapping to a different PCIe slot. Any of those 3 in that order is how I would handle this particular situation. Alrighty, KJF1. With that there, it looks like we are right on time here. It has been fun. These issues have been all over the place, man. We went from computers to networking to phone to cassette tapes. Had to show my age a little bit. Just all over the place here, but this is getting fun. I'm gonna try to keep the cases all over the place. That way I can just troubleshoot from any wide array of issues so I can get better at it. So I'm kind of liking it though. I think that having a different array of different questions from different subreddits have been very, very good. And then I'm going to try to expand even further. So here's to that, and here's to our next episode on Friday. But for right now, thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. And if you like this video, go ahead and like button. If you really like it, go to subscribe. I love you either way. Take care. All the best, and bye.